Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
Welcome to another edition of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. This is our second show today. We don't normally do two shows, but we're doing two today. On this September 1st, 2021, we've made it all the way to September of the second year of our pandemic, our Lord. And your hosts for today are Brendan, Greg, and Matt. And our guest for today is a very special guy. His name is Wize Otero, but he goes by, or Wilfredo Otero, but he goes by the name of Wize, and he has a podcast called, is it Stuck in My Mind or Step in My Mind?
Stuck in My Mind.
Stuck in My Mind, and he's starting his own podcast empire too, I believe. And so he may or may not be helping us out with our client later today, and our client later today is Thought Crimes and Misdemeanors. So that's what we'll be discussing as our client later on. But before we get started, Brendan has found our fake sponsor for this particular episode. So, Brendan, if you'd like to let us know who's not paying for this show today, that'd be great.
No, absolutely. I'm happy to. So, this episode of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker is sponsored by You're Gonna Get Some Ultra herbal supplements. Gentlemen, let's face it. You've tried it all. Viagra, Libido Max, Extends, testosterone boosters, rhino horn tea, pumps, nipple clamps. But despite all your efforts and cash, nothing is making a difference in the bedroom. But you got it all wrong. Everyone is looking through the wrong end of the telescope, so to speak. This is where You're going to Get Some Ultra comes in. Put down that pump and pick up a broom. Our powerful supplements are designed to ensure that you will find the action you crave from your significant other, not just that perfunctory monthly, the kids are finally asleep kind of action, but rather that borderline, is this legal? Will the neighbors call the cops type of action? You're going to Get Some Ultra contains a proven blend of ancient herbs, which will help you to want to, and ultimately do the dishes each night. Pick up after yourself in the living room, spend more time grooming, create a Pinterest account and learn to cook, and so much more. Hey, you know all that other stuff is useful, but seriously, only to the degree you get to the game. It's like taking steroids and never walking onto the field. You're going to Get Some Ultra. Get there, then play hard.
Well, all right. I don't think I understood that one.
What? You don't understand that? Oh, yeah, because you never do housework for your wife. You make her do everything. I forgot. You don't get it.
Explain it to me, Greg.
It's called being a good partner, life partner.
Uh-huh. That's how you get some ultra?
No, that's how you get laid. Your girlfriend will appreciate it.
Oh.
She'll be like, my partner isn't just a slobby dork.
I'm obviously not going to be getting the sponsor back for next anytime soon, now that Matt doesn't believe in the product.
Yeah.
It's just that I had a challenge understanding because I'm slow sometimes.
I've been using it for weeks, and I don't have a partner, but I've been masturbating more. I've been getting more.
That's good to hear.
So I've been cleaning the house more.
Yeah. So you've been taking the product for a while. So they'll come back then if you've been taking the product.
Thumbs up.
All right, good.
It's good stuff, yeah.
Thumbs up.
I recommend it.
A nice place. Okay, enough of that silliness. Onwards to our guest, Wize. That's W-I-Z-E, everybody, in case you want to know how it's spelled. Tell us a bit about how you got involved with the podcast. I think you've been doing a podcast about as long as we have, which was around June of 2020 when we started. So tell us the beginning of your journey into this interesting realm.
I actually had been wanting to do a podcast since 2019. I was supposed to do a sports podcast with a friend of mine. So I purchased this little Behringer Studio podcast for like $160 on Amazon, and I had it sitting around the house. So fast forward to 2020, I got furloughed from my job at a casino in March, and so I was home, and the wife had a big to-do list for me. We redid the kitchen. We started doing a whole bunch of stuff, and I decided I was gonna actually stop procrastinating and get this podcast off the ground so I can start getting busy and she can leave me alone.
So
So
it wasn't your
housework?
procrastinating about starting the podcast. It's like you wanted to procrastinate about the stuff she wanted you to do around the house.
Yeah, definitely.
You need
Why sounds like a prime customer for you're gonna get some
Ultra.
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 But it sounds like
4K.
he earned it without the use of the product, which is nice. That doesn't happen all the time.
Well, he may have had like an artificial version around the house.
Are you
Yeah.
monetizing this podcast? Are you bringing in some dough?
I've done little ads here and there for people, but I've monetized it in other ways. I've actually gained I don't know. I've actually had a guest on recently, and she hired me to help her launch her podcast and her YouTube channel. So
Oh, okay.
I found other ways to make money.
Well, yeah, because you
You're
have like
making
this other
connections.
network. What's it called? The Real. Sorry.
Oh, well, I have an internet
Wize
radio
Productions?
station. I have my production company that's Real Wize Production, but I launched the internet radio station, and it was more for just giving people a platform. I actually played my first live show where I had a MC from the Bronx, and he was more of a conscious rapper than anything. So I gave him a platform. We played about 7 of his tracks.
Well, I have
every
a quick
time-
question. You said he's a conscious rapper as opposed to like an unconscious
Yes.
rapper.
Well,
Like a
Don't you
it's
have to
more-
be
it's-
conscious to
it's-
rap? Because
it's more about not about the bling bling and the shoot 'em up and murder, and he's more about empowering his people. So to have
so he's not
on-
like a gangster rapper. He's like an I left the
Yes,
gangster
he's-
rapper.
Yes, he's more of a so to have him on and come and play his music and the station actually be his first radio station to play any of his music. So to give him that experience, that was an amazing feeling. So that was the reason I created the platform, was to give people who don't have outlets or who don't have connections, or anyone who wants to get into radio, they want to learn how to do their own show. I just feel it's something that I wanted to do and just give opportunity to anybody out there.
Do you have a radio background? Is that why you were interested in doing a
No.
podcast to begin with, or?
Not at all.
Okay.
No.
Well, what was it that caused you? Because you said you're procrastinating about starting a podcast. What
Yeah.
was it that you wanted to do at that time that was driving you to create a podcast?
I had wanted to do a sports. I'm a big sports fan, and I was going to do one with a friend of mine, and him and
Like
his wife, him and
specifically
his
like
girlfriend got
targeting
pregnant.
lacrosse or something, or what was the sports that you really
No,
liked?
it was gonna be,
Matt.
What?
Please.
What? You
You're targeting lacrosse?
Well, people could be interested in lacrosse. It's a sport.
Are you a curling expert, Wise? Are you into like? Come on, dude.
Bowling?
Can you stop giving this guy a hard time? Wise, are you like a football guy or a basketball guy? Because these two goobers
actually-
don't understand sports at all.
It is lacrosse.
Actually, football, basketball, baseball, hockey.
So are
so-
you a
so
are
we
you a
just gonna-
Giants fan or a Jets fan?
I'm a Giants fan.
Okay.
Are you based
I'm-
in New York?
I'm originally from Brooklyn, but I live in Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania now.
Oh, okay. The Poconos.
Yes.
Oh, good. So you're not a Eagles fan because
We're
To hell with
Steelers.
those
I
Oh
guess.
people.
hell no.
no, hell no.
Not a Steelers fan either, I'm guessing.
Yeah, hell
No,
no. I
no,
agree.
hell no with those people too.
Yeah.
Those
I'm
I
a
agree.
I'm a Seahawks guy, just because these two guys don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Greg is all into sports.
Yeah.
I
Tell
play
him that
lacrosse.
you know what a touchdown is, Greg, right?
Yeah. It's if you take Brendan's herbal supplement, you get a touchdown or a home run.
Yeah, you might get a home run if you take it.
So
And you wash the dishes.
Even second base would be nice.
So you said that you wanted to do a sports podcast. What did you think was going to make yours different from the other sports podcasts that are out there? What take on it do you have, or you just like talking about it?
Well, we was just gonna talk about it. It was actually gonna be sports, weed, and entertainment. And so, but he got him and his girl got pregnant, so he didn't do it. So I ended up just having this equipment in the house, just sitting around. I would once in a while I would record something, but wouldn't do anything with it until I got furloughed from my job. I'm a table games dealer at a casino, and
I didn't know they had casinos in Pennsylvania. Huh.
Oh yeah, I think we have the second most in the country.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
like more than like New Jersey or Nevada?
What part of Pennsylvania are you in?
These are the Poconos.
Yeah, Poconos. Oh, there's all kinds of casinos up there, bro.
Oh.
Is it all Native American or it's just they legalized it? Okay.
Yeah, it's legal here. I have 3 probably within an hour from me. I have the one I work at is 10 minutes from my house, but then I have another one that's like 40 minutes from my house, and then another one that's probably another 50 minutes from my house.
So you do table games, so I'm assuming this means like strictly cards and craps, or is there some other type of game that's done on a table?
I deal cards, craps, roulette. The only thing I don't deal is poker and pie gout tiles.
What was the last thing you said?
Pie gout tiles.
Pie gout tiles?
Pie gout.
I think I've seen those old ladies playing those.
That's like mahjong or something, or how do you spell pie gout?
Pie gout.
How do you spell that? I don't know that word at all.
I don't know. It's Chinese. I'm Puerto Rican. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. So you won't do it because you don't know how to spell it.
No.
So could you describe for our listeners, or millions of listeners, what are your podcasts? What do you like to talk about? What's your favorite kind of podcast?
Because he's not doing sports, he's doing something else.
Oh yeah. Well, come to find out, I have a self-help podcast. Who knew?
You came to find out that you have a self-help podcast.
Yeah.
Just that's what it is.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. See, I just started out just talking to people. Nowhere near Dr. Phil.
It's Dr. Wize.
No, nowhere near Dr. Phil.
All right, Nurse Wize then.
It ended up being just the guests that I had on. Just a lot of them had some interesting stories and some inspirational stories, and people actually related. I've had a couple of people reach out to me. I had a friend of mine who heard the episode of between me and another high school friend of mine, and she said just the conversation that we had and the way we would talk about manifestation and everything we're doing to build our businesses. She said it inspired her to go and because she had been on the fence about starting her own business, and when she heard 2 of her oldest friends talk about building a business and all that, it just inspired her to go and take that risk. And so when she reached out to me and told me that was awesome. Like I said, if I reach one person and one person takes anything from what I put out there, I feel good about it, because there's so much negative content out there. And
welcome to that place.
Yeah, I wish we could. The only thing I think we've ever inspired in our listeners is to hit unsubscribe on the podcast. We never.
But you guys are fun. Yeah, you're funny. You're fun. You need entertainment like this.
Inspired anyone though.
I think we're fooling you if you think that. But
there's a lot of self-hatred on the on the part of Matt and Greg that I don't totally
Brendan,
understand.
I see you're the one who love you just love yourself. These two guys just
I don't know what their problem is, to be
Greg
honest.
loves Brendan,
I
too.
think it's because they're on the West Coast and maybe they just, I don't know. They've been beaten down by the man out there. They don't understand sports, so they don't have a love of football like you and I do.
There are no men in charge in Oregon, I think, is the problem.
Oh, that's for sure probably at least a part of the problem.
But whenever you were starting off getting guests, Wize, was it somebody that you had specifically chosen, or were you just getting random guests? Because you said you fell into doing self-help, but I guess I'm just curious.
Because, well, at first I would go look for people and just try to have people come on and just have a conversation. But at first I got a couple of celebrities. Like one of my first guests was a former wrestler, WWE Hall of Famer Stevie Ray, and I actually looked up to him. He was I'm a big wrestling fan, so to actually get to sit down and speak to him, it was awesome.
How'd you get him, Wize? How'd you get him on your show? You knew him?
No, I actually Steve Joyner linked this up.
Oh. Okay.
That's our publicist, Greg, in case you didn't know.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Continue. I just want to know how you got it.
No, that's good. No, Steve Joyner, I hooked up with Steve through a group on Facebook, and he asked, "Hey, you a wrestling fan?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I know Stevie Ray. Would you like to interview him?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" This is like I said, I'm a big wrestling fan. Him and his brother Booker T was one of the greatest tag teams of all time. So I was excited.
Oh, what was the tag team they were part of?
Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat. Got it.
Yes. And so, but he's like, but he doesn't really like talking wrestling. He's like, he'll talk wrestling if he has to, but he really doesn't want to discuss wrestling. And I knew he's big into charity and stuff in his community in Houston. So I was cool with that. I was fine. We could talk sports. So we ended up having just a great conversation. We spoke about sports. We spoke about, this was right about the time that the George Floyd situation happened. And so we spoke a little better on that, but it just turned out to be such a great conversation that I figured, hey, this is what I want to do. I just want to start talking to as many people as possible. And at first, the first questions a lot of the people would ask is, what are your numbers?
Yeah, right.
Dude, I'm just starting out. I don't have any numbers. Oh, okay, well, and then they'll ghost you. But you get some people that were cool and like, hey, okay, cool, I'll be on your show. And little by little, started gaining traction. Steve would send me some more guests. He had Larry Hankin.
Larry's great.
Quite a few. Yeah, Larry's awesome. Had a great time. He sent me quite a few people, and that got me going. But then I started joining all these groups, and I started getting more comfortable just sending messages to everybody and anyone. That is the number. It just started growing, and people, and instead of me going out and reaching out to people would start reaching out to me and be like, "Hey, I heard your podcast. I would like to be a guest." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So then, the Scene Snobs is a group of guys that they have podcasts and everything. So they had this awards called the Snobbies, and I was nominated for like 4 categories. One of them happened to be self-help.
Nice. Now, were you on their show first before you got nominated, or you just found out that they found out about you?
It was a bunch of podcasters that I know, and a couple of people suggested me. And so when fellow podcasters recommend you and you get nominated, I felt like that was a big honor to me, because
that's great.
I'm like starting out. I've been doing it for about a year, and to be recognized by my peers, I was like, man, this is awesome.
Well, in a little less than a year, you're going to get an award from us, because every year we just started our tradition. We give all our past guests an award. So you'll be getting one next summer.
We have the Quibblies.
So I get do I get best hair?
Well, you'll be in the running for something like that. It's very possible.
And very, very well could be. Let us see the hair one more time
for our YouTube viewers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Good hair.
Wait a second. I need to get the view on him, because right now it's on whoever's talking. So there we go. We'll spotlight.
You need me to speak so you can see my hair.
Yeah, that's kind of how Zoom works. But I've got the spotlight on you right now, so your hair actually looks a lot like a friend of mine's who was the sax player for a band called Thievery Corporation. His went out about an extra 3 inches, but it was a similar style. So I appreciate the hair, definitely. But
I mean,
but you never know. Greg makes up most of the categories, so we have no idea, what award somebody's going to get.
You might just say some random thing during our interview, and
that's true.
That'll be your award.
You might wind up as best.
I'm curious, Wize. Where does the nickname Wize come from? Was that a long time nickname when you were a kid?
It was actually my gamer tag.
Okay.
And so I just kept it.
You said you play tag and they call you Wize?
No, gamer tag. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're making
what's your favorite game, Wize? What do you play? What's your number one?
Tag, he said.
I've actually neglected my PlayStation. My wife she's really shocked. She was like, because I'm podcasting, I'm doing so many other different things that I don't really have time to game. So one day she goes, I know you're serious about what you're doing because you've completely abandoned your PlayStation. It's collecting dust. I think my chargers have no charge, either one of them, and none of my controllers have any charge to them. So
you were an Echo the Dolphin guy, right? Echo the Dolphin.
Echo the Dolphin? What the hell are you talking about, Greg?
It's a game. It's a video game.
Echo the Dolphin is a video game.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Resident Evil kind of guy.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
Maybe it's Resident Evil Echo the Dolphin edition for Greg.
I barely played video games since 1989, and
that's probably when Echo the Dolphin came out. Right?
No, I have played Resident Evil. That's fun. That's fun shit. You get to shoot a lot of monsters and stuff. That's all I want to do.
You just want to shoot monsters? Well, you do that in real life.
First person shooter games are definitely the best.
I have no opinion.
So
I don't watch cartoons either. So
let me ask you, touching on the gamer thing, I don't have necessarily an opinion on this, but I know there was a lot of controversy about
Gamergate.
No,
Grand
shut
Theft
up,
Auto?
Greg. No, the zombie game that came out, and the second version, and there was a lot of controversy about it.
Zombie Game 2, was that the name of it?
Yeah, that was the name of it.
I think I played this game, Brendan, because there was like all this.
The Last of Us. I don't know.
Last of Us.
The Last of Us.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Last of Us 2. I have not played Last of Us first, second. You got any opinion on that?
Well, I haven't played the second one.
Okay.
The first one was a great game. I had a great time playing that one, but I haven't played the second one.
What would be the controversy involving this game, Brendan, since you brought it up?
Well, multiple things. They took the story in a different direction.
Yeah, I think the female main character gets assaulted or something. It's something. It's a storyline that it was just crazy. I heard about it. I just didn't. I
never played it. My son played the original one, and I kind of like half watched him play it and was like, because he's like, Dad, you'd love this, but I never saw the second one. So as a gamer, I thought you know.
Why would your son think you would love this game, Brendan? Just out of curiosity.
Oh God, Matt. Okay. So my son would think I would love the game because he and I would talk about things. And one of the things we talked about, Matt, which maybe you didn't with your children,
Yeah.
was things of mutual interest. And we both enjoyed zombie stuff.
Okay.
So he started to play this zombie game. And then as he was playing it, he said, "Hey, Dad, I'm playing this zombie game. I know you like zombies. Would you be interested in seeing how this game plays out?" And I'm like, "Sure, son, because I love you and I'm interested in things you're interested in." Am I getting through to you, brother?
Look at Matt's eyes glazed over. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. What? Son? Listening to my son?
I just like
talk?
the fact that you call your
Why would
son
you do
son, though.
Oh,
Hello,
okay. I
son.
could have called him Rourke, but that wouldn't have meant anything to our guest.
For some reason, I feel slightly condescended to. I don't know what it is. It's like maybe I'm just smelling something. But anyway, well, I appreciate the answer.
You
Brendan.
did ask me in a condescending way, what do you mean by blah, blah, blah? I mean, so you started.
I mean, honestly, I didn't feel like I was condescending to you.
I know, that's part of your problem.
Okay, so I wanted to ask Wize a question because, he's our guest and we can do this anytime, stick around like this. But Wize, so you've just been doing podcasting for a year and like, if you could like figure out a way where this could be your job, would you just love to do that? Are you really into this, building this network? And
yeah, I definitely want to build it so that I don't. And don't get me wrong, I have an easy job. I get paid to play games, but
yeah,
I'm never gonna own that. I'm never gonna own that. So eventually, my ultimate goal is to get my production company going. Get the internet radio station generating some income, and then hopefully I'm able to do my podcast. But it's crazy because I work the graveyard shift, so I work 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I still have plenty of time to do what I have to do as far as the podcast. And so I'm probably recording 5-6 episodes a week.
I'm kind of curious about your schedule, actually. You said 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. as a table games dealer. So that must mean you get some really interesting people at that time of day that show up.
Oh, that's where you get the real degenerates, yes.
Yeah.
the real degenerates. So in your opinion, how would you define the degenerates of that time frame that show up? Like
okay,
the ones that surprise you
so this is so one day we come in, it's probably 4:30 in the morning, and I'm a dual rate, and so on occasion I wear a suit and I supervise. Sometimes I deal. So this day I just happened to be in a suit, and there was this lady, I guess she had been drinking all night. She just steps back from the table, throws up, doesn't go rinse out her mouth, anything. Walks around the vomit, back to the table, and continues to play. And I'm like, is she not really gonna go wash her mouth out? Like, and the vomit is right next to her, and she's just there playing.
Can you tell her, like, Miss, please, we don't want to smell your vomit breath. Please go take care of this.
She got stuck with the name Vomit Girl. So anytime she would be,
it's her superhero name.
So are you gonna interview
so anytime she would jump around, and then during that time of the day, people jump around. They don't stay still. So whenever we're closing her rating and she's going to another table, one of us would be like, "Hey, do you have Vomit Girl's number?" And we kind of knew who we were talking about already. But yeah, there's some real characters.
Did you have Vomit Girl come on your podcast after that? Did you?
No, she actually got 86th, so she's no longer allowed. Yeah, surprise,
Yeah,
right?
Like, sorry, your lunch is no longer welcome here. And
I was always curious, Wize, do you ever have a pathetic gambler who's like gonna like gamble his mortgage payment for that month, and like you trick the cards, or you're like, I feel pity on this guy or this woman. They're like gambling.
No,
They're gonna lose everything. No, you don't.
no.
do you take like secret pleasure out of ruining people's lives then?
No, it's just that, like, when people go, what's the trick to win in the casino? And my answer usually is not going in.
Yeah, walk away.
Yeah. They don't find that funny. They're like, no, really, seriously. I'm like, dude, serious, don't come into the casino. They're not built for you to win.
Yeah, the house always wins.
Yeah,
eventually the house will always win.
I've always heard though, there's those guys who somehow have a system. Do you know those? Do you see these guys who are like, they do seem to win, and they actually?
Well, the card counters.
Is that a myth?
Yeah, the card. But the thing is, it's not illegal. It's frowned upon, and if they catch you, they will. It's not like back in the day where they probably would break your legs. Now they just kick you out.
They just strain a hamstring.
Well, I'm not saying like an illegal system. They're just really good at legally playing poker. Well, they're just damn good poker players.
Some people. Oh, but poker is completely different. The casino makes no money off.
Yeah.
Well, but even if I did, the casino makes no money off of the poker game.
Oh, okay.
They just have it. They just have it to have it, but they don't really generate any income from.
Do you think counting cards is cheating? Is counting cards cheating, or that's just smart playing?
That's just, you gotta have a real good memory to really.
So it's not
know
cheating.
What cards played.
I know. So it's not.
It's not illegal. It's not.
Okay.
But they do frown upon it.
Yeah, they don't want people having an edge.
First of all, if they catch you counting cards, you will be kicked out.
Okay. Yeah. I have some coworkers who debate this for years. They just every day they get an argument. It's not cheating. Counting cards.
It is cheating. Not. It's not illegal, but
no. Yeah,
it's just smart playing.
It's not cheating, but they're not happy if you do it.
Yeah.
Now, I know we've kind of digressed from talking about your podcast because of me. So I apologize for getting more into your table games. I know, it's kind of like when I ask those questions. But we have kind of hit the halfway mark, though. So I
don't mind.
Okay, so we're at the time now when we bring in our client, because if you want, you can be a fake attorney with us for today, because this is a fake law firm and we have fake clients and fake sponsors. So, and our ratings fake as well. So our client for today is Thought Crimes and Misdemeanors, and this kind of comes about because we often have to deal with the idea that, everybody in society, that sometimes the things we say are frowned upon and people don't like what we say and they want to shut us down. So I think Greg might be the best person to take on this particular client, except for Greg is now gone silent.
No, I don't know why I was picked to be the best person right when I wanted to pee real quick.
You know what? I'll take on this client.
Okay, Brendan.
As the guy from Florida, please can we not? Thank you, Greg. Jesus. Oh. Okay.
Something we didn't have to see.
Let me try to gather myself. So, what was the client?
Thought Crimes and Misdemeanors.
Thought Crimes and Misdemeanors. So, this is an interesting client from the perspective of so much now is based upon what you think and what you say online. And I'm going to go out and say that we've gone too far in the direction of thought police and censoring people and canceling people and just going over the top relative to what people say online, whether it's in social media or whatever, mostly on social media. And so that's stupid. Thank you, Greg, for being out of the bathroom.
He's like a
You're
traveling
welcome.
head right now. It's just like his head is moving around the room. Brenda, I think you make a good point, and I think the issues that's going on with many people these days is that you're trying to walk a line of not offending or being offensive to people without knowing what's going to offend or not offend people, and you have to decide, do I care if I'm offending these people or not? And is it important to not offend? Because, we don't want kids to have the idea that bullying is okay, and you should protect yourself from that. But at the same time, it's like, when does something become bullying? When does something become offensive? And there's so many people who have their ideas that they want to enforce upon all of us that it's like clapping back at it can get you in trouble for doing that. And I think that's given rise to both the cancel culture as well as like the Me Too movement. But it's also on both sides of the coin. It's both the left and the right doing the same damn thing to each other, where whatever opinion you have is wrong and you should be shut down for it and shouldn't even say things like that anymore. It's kind of like
Well, I've said this before. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Greg.
I thought you were done.
Yeah.
I'm saying I've said this before, like my whole lifetime, and way before it was always the right doing it. And so now it's just weird. Like, like gay people were put in mental institutions because, like, yeah, you want to live this way. That was cancel culture by way worse than it is now.
By death.
And so I just think that now it's like, it is annoying that I have to be honest, because I've always had like a goofy sense of humor, maybe shocking sense of humor. I don't like the fact that I can't just goof around as much.
What would be something that you would like to say that you feel you're being trounced on for saying?
Well, this is problematic.
Okay.
Just saying, like,
well, let's just put quotes. We're going to put air quotes around it. So go ahead.
Okay, here's an example I can say. So the first time in my life in my 40s, I got fired. I was never close to being fired. I'm a good worker, but I was at a bookstore and I was discussing books that we sell there. I was talking about, the movie adaptation of the Marquis de Sade's Salo, 120 Days of Sodom. So I was mentioning with a friend, talking about this movie, like, oh my God, it was so gross. The scene where they, like make the meat shit. And, oh God, what a crazy movie. And someone overheard it. A Christian dude I worked with told HR, and I was fired a week later just for no customers were there. It was after hours, but I was talking about a film that we sell the book. In our literature room, we sold it. And I was just talking about it. I wasn't saying, yeah, I want to eat shit. That's hot. We were like, no, that's gross. And I was fired for that.
It's weird at a bookstore, which should be like a bastion of free speech.
And they do, yeah. Every year they have the, no censorship month, like freedom of speech month, where we celebrate that. But
were you sure is the thing you said and it just wasn't you personally that they wanted to get rid of?
No, it was actually another guy they really wanted to get rid of because he was an ex-manager who was telling tales out of school, but I was swept away with it. But I mean, that was in our primer. I had to watch the HR video. Don't talk about shit. Don't be nasty, but nobody there did that. We were all like overeducated underachievers. So we talked about all kinds of crazy shit, weird videos we saw on YouTube. And it was not appropriate stuff. We wouldn't say it in front of customers, but, still, I definitely breached the contract and they could fire me, and they did.
Wow.
But I was just talking about a movie.
Okay.
And so how do you feel that was a thought police action, though?
Because I was talking about a movie and I was fired from a job.
But that would be like part of, but if you're working at a business and it's what's considered like unsavory behavior at a business, it's a little bit different than in a personal life, I think.
No, but the cancel culture is the same thing. I mean, it's just like, oh, Louis C.K. He's kind of semi-canceled now. It's not like the government saying, Louis C.K., we're persecuting you like Big Brother. No, it's just people were like, got together and said, you're a deplorable person. We're not going to support you. We're going to boycott.
But Louis C.K. is different because he was like masturbating in front of people in his office.
Yes, it is very different.
It's not the same thing as Thought Police, though.
He was way more egregious than I was, but still, whatever it is, it's not like the government saying Louis C.K. is going to be thrown in jail for what he did. He maybe should be. I guess that's probably a crime against that.
No, well, I mean, the real question is whether you talk about eating shit in a movie, in a personal conversation with somebody who is asking you about a movie that contains eating shit, or a book or whatever, and
which happens often.
Yeah, and Louis C.K., who is jerking off after telling people he was going to jerk off, and they sort of consented to it because they didn't go, oh, you're a gross fucker, and then left. I mean, I don't know. The question is, relative to Thought Police, not necessarily are any of these things a question. The question becomes, who determines what? So in your instance, Greg, the company that you worked for determined that was bullshit and you had to go. And in Louis C.K.'s version, it was Twitter that decided he was fucked, and then they applied pressure to whoever his bosses were. Right.
Twitter is people. Twitter is,
but Twitter can apply pressure to God knows what. But in that instance, Twitter applied pressure to somebody who decided Louis C.K. should not continue on his TV show.
I'm interested in getting Wize's perspective, because obviously we're three old white guys, and so we're talking from obviously the realm of white privilege and having our white privilege being stomped on a bit by the culture these days, whereas
I'm half white.
You're half intelligent too. But anyway, Wize, on the other hand, is of a different ethnicity, and I'm wondering if you have similar things within your own personal culture that comes from a different perspective, if that happens in your regular life or not.
Well, no, I think it's just ridiculous with some of the stuff that's going on. Like, to me, we've just sissified a whole generation. Like, I'm from a generation where we played
sissified.
You can't say that anymore.
You're basically describing Greg's life, though.
My apologies. My apologies.
I'm canceling Wize right now.
So all the sissies out there, my apologies.
Oh no!
I think Brendan just made a new friend.
Wize, I'm 100%. The sissification of America is part of the problem.
Listen, when I played baseball, Little League Baseball, the championship team usually got the biggest trophy, and they deserve it because they won the championship. And you got a little rinky-dink trophy, but that motivated you to want to go win the bigger trophy. Everyone gets a trophy now. It's the same size. Everybody's trophy is the same size. I don't understand that.
No. Again,
they don't want a kid to feel bad.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, we don't want anyone to feel bad, even though they suck at baseball. They want to. It's bullshit.
No, Wize, I coached both of my boys through football, Little League football, and they played in a very ethnically diverse group. They did not play in an all-white group, and I did that on purpose. And there was an interesting difference, because when we would get to like the regional championship kind of thing, there would be both groups involved. And the teams that I was involved with, there was no everybody gets a juice box. It was hardcore. If you didn't perform on the field that day at 10 years old, 11, 12 years old, you were told by your coach in a loving way, not in a horrible way, but you were told by your coach, you didn't make the cut. You need to do better. And so then when we played the teams that everybody got a juice box, it was ridiculous how much we trounced those teams because they didn't get it. I don't know what this has to do with.
Well, I think it's got to do with competition and the benefit or the goodness of competition. And it depends upon what the thing is you're competing for. So in terms of sissification, well, a sissy is like somebody who's supposed to be like effeminate or cowardly is one of the definitions I'm coming across. So you have to decide, why is that a bad thing? Why is it bad for someone to be effeminate who's not normally effeminate? Why is it bad for that? And is it okay to then bully them into being something that they don't want to be by saying that?
I definitely know some sissies who are very competitive.
But you set these kids up for failure because they think everyone gets a trophy at the end of the day. Life isn't like that. There's winners and there's losers, and you're setting up these kids to not realize, hey,
there's winners and there's losers, but there's lots of people in between. Right? In other words, there's people who don't necessarily win, and there's some people who don't necessarily lose. They just kind of hang around in the margins, right? And I think that's generally most people. Honestly, Greg, what do you got there?
Well,
wait, let's see what Greg has first. Greg has a trophy. What is your trophy for?
This is the Fighting Flossers 1980 champs. Greg Pettix is first of all, Fighting Flossers. My dad sponsored the team. He's a dentist. We had the most embarrassing name in baseball, but we were terrible. And our coach was actually a nice Christian guy.
What were you playing? Man. What was the team, Greg?
Baseball.
Okay.
The Fighting Flossers.
The Fighting Flossers.
Yeah, because my dad sponsored the team. But we were terrible. And he was this totally nice guy. I'd always be like, good game, guys. Good for you. And then one year, it was like Bad News Bears, miraculous shit. We actually did win for reals. Like, it wasn't like they gave me this trophy because, like, oh, everyone gets a trophy. This is 1980. They didn't do that then.
But you felt good it felt good for you to really get that trophy, right? You saw the progress. You were like, hey, we sucked this one year. And then look, man, we came in with a championship trophy the next.
Yeah, I wouldn't have saved it. I would have not saved this trophy if they gave every kid a trophy. I'd have thrown it in the garbage. I'd be like, oh wow, this bullshit trophy.
Yeah, but we were raised to want trophies, right? So it's like it's the changing of that ideology is what's happening.
Well, to go back to your point, Matt, about
I don't even know if I have a point.
Well, no, let's see if I can dredge it up. You said there's this mass middle ground of people who aren't winners or losers. They're just mediocre.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
That may be true, but why is that something that we should direct our culture, our ideas toward? That the majority of you are going to not amount to much of anything. Some of you will lose and some of you will win, but most of you won't amount to bullshit. Is kind of a dark view of the whole thing.
And, I was just having a minor epiphany about it, which is that is kind of what it's all about. It's the leveling of the playing field. It's basically all of those non-winners, slightly losers, who are finally going, we have an opportunity right now to make it so that those guys who are so much better than us aren't that much better than us anymore. They're kind of taking they're taking the reins in their minds. I'm assuming in a hopeful way, where they can now go, I'm better than I used to because they're not as good as they think they are, and they're not going to do this to me anymore. I mean, I've never been somebody who's been bullied, so it's hard for me to really get into the shoes of somebody who has been. And I can't imagine. I mean, maybe Greg, you can talk on this more because you said you were bullied often growing up, right?
And yet I would bully other kids. It trickled down.
Did it? So
yeah.
so it became like this, the shit rolled downhill type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a different time. Like now, like when we were growing up, you would get bullied in school, and that's where it would end. Now with social media and all this stuff, these kids can't escape the bullying. They're getting harassed 24/7.
Right. Yeah, and it's so different from when we were growing up, and we didn't have that.
Yeah, when we was growing
constant...
up. Listen, if I was being bullied, my older brother would be like, he would make me go fight.
My older brother bullied me. I mean, if anybody bullied me, it would have been him.
It was your older brother.
Yeah.
I've seen
but
that.
Yeah, I mean, we're growing. It's a much different time for kids today because they're growing up in the specter of school shootings. They're growing up in the specter of over pharmacization of children. It's too much drugging of children. They're growing up in the time of COVID for the God, who knows what that's going to do to kids in 15 years. Having this as their marker point of significance. So it's in a weird period because previously marginalized groups like homosexuals and women and people in the LGBTQ community, right, and sissies who are part of that community as well, are getting more notice than they used to, as it being okay for them to be that way, right? In other words, it's okay for them to speak what they feel is their truth, and there's a lot of people who are railing against that, and they're the ones who are acting like assholes towards them because that's what they were always able to get away with it before. They could get away with being assholes toward them because that was the culture, and so that culture has shifted. But it's shifted, I think, to the tipping point where there is this newfound ability from those who previously bullied to now bully the bulliers, is I think what's kind of happening.
I think more than that, but with me, like my issue is now they're like, since it's the it thing now, that's what they're pushing on. That's what they're pushing. Like a lot of the commercials I see now, it's a gay couple or it's something. It's now. I understand. I get it. I have a niece. She's gay. I have a nephew. I love them because they're still great people. They're still, but now I see that media and all these other people are just pushing that on. That's all they're showing, and I get it. Fine, but now now that they can profit off of it and make money off of it, that's what they're going to push.
Right. Yeah, well, and that's definitely part of it in media culture.
Right. I mean, but part of the thing is this. When we were growing up, kids were gay or whatever, and we just, there were assholes for sure, and there was a good number of us who were like, oh yeah, Scotty, he's so silly,
he's festive.
Yeah, and it was fine. And it was fine. The problem is right now it feels like it's becoming institutionalized. It's no longer me judging or not judging Scotty on his behavior or his interests or whatever. And now it is sort of a system, and it's a culture, and it's a thing, and it's a blah 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 blah. And I think that isn't helpful, and I think that becomes a system of thought police, in that if I think to myself, I like Scotty and Scotty's cool, even though he's a gay man in middle school. But that other person who's I don't know, she's a bully lesbian girl is not okay with me because she's being a bully about being a lesbian. I'm not able to differentiate between those two things. Scotty's fine, he's gay, that's cool. She's a bully lesbian, but I can't object to her being a bully lesbian because she's a lesbian. That's where the thought police shit, I think, goes too far.
Well, but you could say she's a bully without pointing out that she's a lesbian tied with it, couldn't you? I mean, I guess I'm a little confused about that example.
Well, okay, but she's being a bully because she is a lesbian. So let's say that she's...
So lesbianism causes bullies?
No,
it gives her like a blanket apology. It gives her, like, people will say, how dare you say that she can't be a bully because she's fighting for it.
So in other words, it gives her a pass. Like that particular issue of hers gives her a pass for that behavior. Okay.
Potentially. I'm not saying that
it's theoretical, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying that if she is being abused or someone's talking shit to her because she has these feelings, whatever. But I'm saying there are people, whether gay, lesbian, whatever, who could be aggressively, whatever their viewpoint, and bully those who go, oh, well, I'm not, that's a thing. I don't think that's not a thing that exists.
I think you're right. And I think that people of all walks of life can be fuckers. And, whether you're straight or gay or whatever, no matter what particular group you're part of, that group has people who are fuckheads. And that will take advantage of that.
I worked at a lesbian coffee house.
You are 20s. A lesbian coffee house, but go ahead.
I worked at a lesbian coffee house in my 20s, and one of them was this, like, my second mom.
A lesbian coffee house makes me think like the coffee house is dating other coffee houses.
Yeah, of the same gender. Yeah.
Okay.
If that's a thing, I don't know what you're talking about. But the other one was the worst boss I ever had, as far as just like completely sadistically, verbally torturing me. She was horrible, but I still think, all said and done, whatever has happened is better than what was. The fact that gay kids basically were committing suicide. My brother was gay. I mean, I felt bad about masturbating to women when I was 13 in the 70s. And I thought I was going to hell, and I had all this self-hatred. My brother was masturbating to men. I can't even imagine, because nobody would have liked it. Nobody even talked about it. It was just like, gay was just like, even beyond, like, it was beyond the pale. It was like, you're gay, fuck, you're an evil piece of shit. So I think it's, no matter if that lesbian's bullying someone, it's better than what it was, where that poor lesbian would have been like, I can never love someone, because to actually admit what I love, I have to have this shitty life of faking loving a man for the rest of my life, because that's what it was. So
yeah, I think we're definitely in the middle of a big turning point in terms of U.S. world history, because it's these new concepts that are being forced upon people who did not want those concepts, who liked things the way they are. They love the status quo.
I think they're good
And
concepts.
what's happening is we're just trying to find our way through it, and we're having all of these weird things happening in society with the cancel culture happening and all of that. It's the reaction to it without knowing what to do about it. And I think, we're heading in the direction of where things will start to stabilize a bit more, and there'll be a new status quo and a new form of bullying happening from who knows what area. And it may involve sissification, but I think sissification in some cases is kind of necessary for people who want to be sissified, but at the same time, I don't have a problem with competition either. I think competition is necessary, not necessarily even in sports, but in terms of in business or in science, where you're trying to beat, like COVID is a competition. People are trying to fight the damn thing and win, and I think having that as the proper attitudes, as opposed to maybe beating another human being in something, is less important than beating something that can help others. Not beating something that help others, but beating something that's harming others in order to help others. That's more my point of view, I think, on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense. Greg, do you agree?
Roughly, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I knew that's how I was coming across.
No, the competition though.
I,
That's a good.
I want to
agree with
know.
that.
I want to know as we're getting close to the end of the show. I want to know how Wize feels about what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your opinion, man?
Yeah, Wize.
Come on.
Nah, it's for me. It's I get it. Everyone has a right to live the life they want to live, but again, competition. When you were talking about competition, it's good. It's sometimes you need it. You need to like. I'm not in like I have a podcast, and I'm not competing with you guys. I'm saying you have me on to help promote me, which is great. I appreciate that, and I want to have you guys on my show to help promote you guys.
You may regret
wait till you ask
statement.
about our numbers, Wize. You'll be a little sadder.
No, yes, no, I don't care, but I just want to have a great conversation and just put out good content, and just have a good time. So, yes, competition is good, but sometimes it's even better just to accept people for who they are.
So what you're doing is you're sissifying the show right now. You're actually
I'm not sissifying anything.
You are victimizing us by saying there's no competition between us. You've just done it. Everyone
that's just Matt Wize. Just forget he said it. That's Matt.
Yeah. Don't worry about that, Wize. That's just Matt being Matt. Matt,
he's a shit stirrer.
Just calm down, take a deep breath, and let him finish.
Well, I understand, Brendan. I know we need to calm things down because you just took some Tums. So I know we've caused you some heartburn a little bit today.
Oh, now he's gonna do that.
It's not he's going to. It's done. Anyway, Wize, go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah, would you let the guest finish his fucking statement, you asshole?
No, I just want to actually appreciate. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. This was fun. But
glad you enjoyed yourself.
No, you have to have fun doing this, man. Why do it if you're not gonna enjoy yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it when Brendan calls me an asshole. So that's kind of where this all comes from.
It's like Stockholm syndrome.
It is. I'm captive. I am Brendan's Peggy Hearst.
Wize, do you want to promote all your shit now? Give some websites.
Yeah. We're wrapping up.
Give
so
some URLs.
Yes.
Okay. You can check out my podcast on all major platforms. It's Stuck in My Mind podcast. See, that's the logo in the back. I'm on every major platform. Then you can check out the radio station at www.realwiseradio.com, and our production page is www.realwiseproductions.com. And yeah, I think I'm on Instagram at Wize_B_blunt, and it's the same on Twitter. And yeah, that's it. That's all.
Blunt.
Quick question.
I suspected some blunts were involved today. Wize.
Blunt object.
Yes, probably. Quite a few.
Can you tell me the definition of El Jefe? Does that mean the chief? Is that the exact translation?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
No? I thought it did mean the
boss.
Oh, it's
the boss.
Okay, well, that explains that. All right, well, I want to thank everyone for being here today. Brendan, Greg, especially our guest, Wize, also Wilfredo Otero, if you're trying to track him down to find money. That would be the best way to do it, is put his full name in. And he has the Stuck in My Mind podcast. And today our client was Thought Crimes and Misdemeanors. I think this is a good, healthy discussion. And I kind of want to explore the idea of sissifying in the future for like another client someday. But anybody else have anything else they want to... The fact that Greg has a sports trophy is amazing to me.
I know.
Does anybody have anything else they want to add before we shut this sucker down? Brendan, no. Oh yeah, and I want to thank our sponsor for today. What was the name of the sponsor again?
You're gonna get some?
You're
Ultra.
gonna get some ultra.
Ultra.
Right. All right. Thank you for that. All right. This has been, once again, the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Your consultation with the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they ever listen? Get out! Get out!